What's good, everyone, and welcome back to another reaction video. Today we are reacting to Food Theory, how gas stations are killing fast food. Now, I don't know what that means, like, at all, because I can't really understand that. I don't understand how they're killing fast food. The only thing I can really come up with is that you could get better stuff at a gas station, at the very least, from what I'm understanding, probably. But yeah, other than that, not much else to really say. So let's see what this is all about. I hope you all enjoy this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Be sure to hit the notification button to be notified immediately when the video comes out. If there's any videos you'd like to recommend that I should react to, put it down in the comment section below and I'll react to it as soon as possible. The link to this video, again, is down in the description below. So yeah, with this all said, let's get around to this video, shall we? Okay.
Remember when gas stations used to suck? Back when your best option on a road trip when you couldn't find fast food were some Slim Jims and a couple of Skittles lest you spend your next stop struggling for your life in a bathroom stall. But now, people will happily drive by fast food restaurants just to get their hands on some food from places like Buc-ee's, Wawa, or Sheetz. And
I never heard of these places. I don't think I ever seen one. I mean, the closest thing I have is an AM and PM, and those are pretty good.
that raises a weird question. How did gas stations, end up in a position where they're competing with, and in some cases beating, the biggest fast food chains in the world? Today, we're diving into this glow up, because it may have just started a war that'll change the fast food landscape forever. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Food Theory, the Internet's rest stop, where you fill up on knowledge. You may remember a little over a year ago, I moved cross-country, from the sunny shores of LA to the sunny shores of Miami. And along the way, as you could imagine, I had to fill up quite a few times. Sometimes for gas, sometimes for food, and sometimes to cook a steak on my engine block. It was a great time, not at all stressful. But as I was making that cross-country tour, I realized something. Gas stations are actually pretty nice now. I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, American gas stations were the butt of the culinary joke. Nuclear waste coffee, glizzies on the roller, and don't even think about trying gas station sushi.
Ah, so we're talking about that. Yeah, I can agree. It was a thing back then. Well, I'm probably not as old as Sanji. I can admit that, my time growing up in the early parts, from what I can recall from gas stations, they weren't very pretty. I mean, you sometimes get sticky floors, you get dirty floors. And when you see some of the food stuff, you can see that sometimes there's a fly or two or three near the food, and the owners don't really fully check that here and there. Completely different from nowadays. Now they have protective ceiling. They close the areas involving the food, and honestly, they didn't really have options back then. All you could really get was drinks and snacks, basically candy and all that. I mean, if they had regular food stuff, it wouldn't really be an option. It would be like one of 3 different types of sandwiches, and they would all be something that you would hate to have. I mean, there'd be turkey sandwiches, but there'd be all these other variables that you can't remove if you don't like it or are allergic to it. And then you have this ham one, and then you have this bologna one, and you honestly, there wouldn't be options. Nowadays, places like that have options. They have pizza now. Like, strangely enough, they have frozen pizza. Like, what the heck? How did everything change? Would be something that one would ask. And it, it's a strange thing in all honesty, but it's a good kind of strange. It's baffling, but really cool at the same time. And that's my experience involving that. Also, there was some occasions where the drinks inside some fast food places, like ices or Slurpees, yeah, sometimes they wouldn't be made the right way and causes you to throw up. As you know, I was one of those victims. Middle of a road trip, threw up everything and all that inside of a car. No, not a memorable moment. Not memorable at all.
And who can forget the bathrooms? But now, you can go to Wawa and grab yourself a freshly toasted turkey sub, or try your taste buds with Sheetz' Big Mott's, or munch on a bomb brisket sandwich at Buc-ee's, all while using their legendarily clean bathroom. And if we're being for real, if I'm on a road trip, I'd much rather stop at one of these upscale gas stations over some grimy golden arches. And I'm not alone. 72% of consumers now view convenience stores as a viable alternative to fast food for meals, not just snacks. But how did this monumental shift in fast food happen so fast? Did fast food places just simply lose their way? Or did gas stations actually level up every aspect of their being, from their food, culture, and ambiance? And
I'm gonna call now. It's a bit of both, in all honesty. There's major improvements to gas stations, but with fast food these days, their prices are going up, and a lot of times they're losing their charm. I mean, fast food places usually had like a childish wonder for some places, and for others, it gave off a kind of colorful charm. Nowadays, it just looks business like almost dead on the inside. Just saying.
with this glow up, are we on the precipice of witnessing the end of fast food as we know it? Let's fuel up. But before we can figure out how gas stations got so premium, we first need to make a quick pit stop to see how our beloved gas stations came to be in the first place. Of course, people have always needed a place to stop, rest, and refuel, even before the invention of the car. Whether it was hungry riders on the Pony Express or passengers dying of dysentery and stagecoaches on the open road. But it wouldn't be until 1913 when the first purpose-built drive-up gas station was born in none other than Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But this wasn't anything like the Buc-ee's or the Wawas we see today. More or less, they were just in the business of selling fuel, and maybe giving out a free map or two. However, in 1927, a man by the name of Jefferson Green opened up the Southland Ice Company, the world's first convenience store, selling staples like bread and milk. The following year, the company started to add fueling stations to some of its locations, and thus the marriage of gas stations and convenience stores was now complete. Oh, and a couple of decades later, that company would change its name to 7-Eleven to represent the new hours they were open. But I couldn't find if it ever caught on.
Fast forward to the 1950s and 60s.
Wait, are you serious? So 7-Eleven technically has been around for that long? Huh. That's actually kind of cool to know. I never knew such a thing existed in their history. Huh. That's actually really neat.
When the automobile was now the dominant mode of transportation across the U.S., much to the dismay of train fans everywhere.
Myself included. I like trains. This was also around the same time when companies that would go on to become some of the most iconic gas stations like Sheetz, Circle K, and Wawa began to emerge. But it wouldn't be until the early 80s when the gas station with the famous buck-toothed beaver mascot would finally enter the chat. Buc-ee's was founded in 1982 by a man named Arch Beaver Applin III. Maybe, just maybe, the most Texan businessman-sounding name I've ever heard. Well, behind Doug Dimmadome, owner of Dimsdale Dimmadome. The 80s was also a time where all these mostly regional gas station chains started their outward expansion, like Speedway, Sheetz, Quick Trip, not to be confused with Quick Trip, and definitely not to be confused with Come and Go. I mean, what? They chose that name! But of all these beloved gas station brands, the two that stand apart above the rest in terms of quality and their loyal fans, shall we say, are Buc-ee's and Wawa. Not only have these two completely changed hearts and minds about what a gas station can be, but when the CEOs of McDonald's and Burger
That was atrocious. That was very
King
atrocious.
lay their heads on their pillows at night, it's the beaver and the goose who haunt their dreams. Why? Well, let's start with the food. When it comes to the sheer number of options available at your fingertips, these upscale gas stations blow McDonald's right out of the water. I mean, have you ever been inside of a Buc-ee's before? It is an experience. They're huge. Their location in Luling, Texas, for example, is an absolutely gargantuan 75,593 square feet, or 7,000 square meters, which doesn't sound as impressive, but boy is it a nice number. Not only is that a Guinness World Record for the largest convenience store in the world, but that's about the same size as your typical Walmart or Costco. And the only thing larger than the stores themselves is the number of options, many of which are Buc-ee's branded. There's the extensive beef jerky selection, which I was dumbfounded the first time I saw one of these. This thing is ridiculous. It looks like a deli section at a supermarket, but just beef jerky of all different types of flavors and everything. And they give out free samples. It was heaven. It was heaven. Then there's the Overbite, a quarter-pound Reese's peanut butter-like puff with Buc-ee's face on it. And who could forget about the beaver nuggets, which are not actual beaver, I double-checked, but instead caramel-coated corn puffs. And that's not even mentioning the fudge, the warmed glazed almonds, or the world-famous slow-roasted barbecue brisket sandwiches that they carve up right in front of you. My mouth is salivating. I need it. But of course, the variety of items available at gas stations
I wish there was a Buc-ee's here.
is not just limited to the mega Buc-eeplexes. Wawa's menu is famously ginormous. In fact, it might actually be easier to tell you what Wawa doesn't have. Not only do they have just about any kind of sub you can imagine, both hot and cold, but they also have quesadillas, burritos, chicken tenders, mashed potatoes, burgers, fries, and they recently even started selling pizza. Basically, if it can fit in a toaster oven, Wawa probably sells it. Compare that variety of food to your local McDonald's, where if you're not interested in burgers, fries, or whatever a filet of fish is, you're OMG SOOL ho me. And all of this food is good, by the way. The bread Wawa uses to make all of their subs baked fresh 2 times a day. And that succulent Buc-ee's brisket is smoked for 12 to 14 hours at a central location before it's sent out and sliced and served tender and hot. It's no surprise that, as I mentioned earlier, nearly 3/4 of consumers see convenience stores not just as a snack stop, but as a viable meal alternative compared to the fast food giants. According to the American Customer Satisfaction Index, which is an annual survey that ranks customer satisfaction on a 1 to 100 scale, it's clear that people are more than satisfied with what they're getting at these gas stations. But for fast food, they're not loving it. Wendy's received a score of 75 out of 100. Burger King, 77. Both scores are around the middle of the pack when it comes to quick service restaurants. But unfortunately, poor old Mickey D's isn't faring too well at all. They finished with a score of just 70, the worst among all quick service restaurants. And all of these fast food numbers lag way behind their gas station counterparts. In that same survey, the Midwest Quick Trip led the way with a score of 84. This was followed by Wawa and Sheetz at 82, the other Quick Trip at 80, and Buc-ee's and Love's at 79. Even the lowest rated gas stations are outpacing the fast food big three. But of course, no discussion of the food at any of these places would be complete without considering the price. As we've talked about many times on this channel, price has been a big point of contention for fans of fast food. The typical cost for a medium Big Mac meal at McDonald's right now is around $9.29. Meanwhile, the equivalent BK Whopper meal will run you $13.79. Yikes. But at least you get fries and a drink with that? Meanwhile, over at Buc-ee's, that mouth-watering brisket sandwich is gonna cost you $9.77 for just the sandwich. That's more than the entire Big Mac meal. And sure, while places like Wawa occasionally run limited time combos like their current $6 meal deal, the point is, convenience does not equal cheap. In fact, far from it. So why do people even bother with these places if fast food is still significantly cheaper? One word: value. When I bite into the tender flesh of a barbecue brisket sandwich, I know I'm getting something of at least decent quality, especially for a gas station. Meanwhile, the Big Mac, it's the same as it's always been. Fine, it's just fine. So when the prices for the Big Mac and Whopper continue to rise year after year without getting any better, eventually customers are gonna forego your product and spend just a tiny bit more for a way better product. It also helps that places like Wawa make the food right in front of you, Subway style, so that it feels like you're getting more of a premium culinary experience, as opposed to the black box that is the Mickey D's drive-thru. And speaking of premium, when you step into a Buc-ee's or Wawa, the experience, the culture is something that's that's hard to beat. I mean, what other restaurants do you know where people actually line up and wait to take pictures with the mascot and buy his merch? Not Ronald or the King, I can tell you that. But it isn't just the runaway consumerism that seems to draw customers in. It's the traditions. For example, every 15 minutes or so, Buc-ee's will bring out new, fresh brisket, and the customers all gather around the carving station to hear.
Fresh brisket on the board!
And in a way that's totally not reminiscent of a cult, the customers gleefully respond. And yes, that was Keith Urban doing the whole brisket on the board thing. Buc-ee has connections. But the traditions don't just end at the Bucksters. Over at Wawa, the Wawa heads every year look forward to the return of an event that even rivals the December to Remember or Toyotathon, the Hoagie Fest. And the only thing sweeter than that sick beat is the deals. Under $6 for 6-inch shorties, quesadillas, and club sandwiches, sign me the F up. Sorry, I'm really hungry. I haven't had lunch, but I'll calm down now before I start sounding like an ad. Hashtag not spawn. And according to one of our lead writers, Mike from Jersey, Wawa really brings out the best in people. It's apparently common Wawa etiquette that you always hold the door open for someone at the Wawa. Doesn't matter if they're across the parking lot, you hold that door. If this place can make people from New Jersey nice, the culture must be immaculate. And again, can you really say that about any of the fast food giants? I didn't think so. I've literally had someone slam the door in my face at McDonald's just to beat me to the counter. The other thing that sets these gas stations apart from their fast food foes is the businesses themselves. Obviously, there's the fact that gas stations sell gas, but something they don't sell? Franchises. Unlike McDonald's or Burger King or whoever who license out their locations to thousands of entrepreneurs, every Buc-ee's, Wawa, Sheetz, you name it, is owned and operated by the company themselves, ensuring that every Wawa run or Buc-ee's trip is the same no matter where you are. Heck, Wawa employees even have the ability to receive stock in the company, giving them even more incentive to keep the quality high and the ambiance even higher. And speaking of ambiance, oh my god, if you've ever walked into a Buc-ee's, it feels more like a friggin' Disneyland than a gas station convenience store. The flowing lines, the shelves of merch. Heck, Buc-ee's even managed to solve the most notorious problem that plagues all gas stations: the bathrooms. Dun dun dun! You'd think that since the average Buc-ee's can see as many as 20,000 people walk through their doors per day, that the bathrooms would be dun dun dun. But not only are they not dun dun dun, but Buc-ee's bathrooms are notoriously the cleanest in the business. And just like Disneyland, people actually queue up for the bathrooms like they're waiting for Splash Mountain. They're so proud of the bathrooms, in fact, that they even advertise them on billboards. And they don't just have people manning the latrines, they have an army at checkout. Instead of just one overworked employee who has to deal with potentially hundreds of customers at once, Buc-ee's can have as many as 30 or more checkout lanes, ensuring that no one has to wait too long. Now compare that ambiance to somewhere like a McDonald's. I can't take it. If Buc-ee's is Disneyland, then McDonald's is a cold assembly line. They're not about the experience anymore. You get in, you get out, next customer, again and again. All you are is the number at the top.
I want to say something about this to add, but it's gonna be adding more insult to injury. I went to McDonald's recently, like a week or two ago, and ordered something online. Went to go pick it up, pay for it. I paid it for it online, and all this and all that. And when I went to go get it, they were like, "Nah, the thing didn't pay. We need you to pay again to make it go through." And I double checked, triple checked, and it was paid. The money was transferred to them. It was sent, and that became like an hour, maybe two, somewhere between an hour and two of an argument on who was in the right and who was in the wrong, and yada yada. Honestly, it was annoying. It was weird. It was honestly getting on my nerves and all that, and I did not like it. I seriously did not like it. It was a pain in the ass. Anyway, yeah, with that said,
of your receipt to them. Don't you remember when places like McDonald's had character? The McDonaldland crew, the Ronalds sitting on the bench outside the store, the Nintendo 64s, the play place. The memories. Somewhere along the way, McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's forgot that they weren't just restaurants. They were third spaces, places to come and bring your family after a hard day at the office. But now, they've become cold, sterile burger-making factories. I mean, if you heard a McDonald's or a Burger King was opening up in your town, you'd probably be like, oh, that's cool, all right. But when a Buc-ee's or a Wawa opens up, it's a celebration. Just a few weeks ago, Buc-ee's opened up its first location in the great state of Ohio. And right out the gate, it did gangbusters. On its opening day alone, it did over $1 million in sales. $1 million for a gas station. That's a record even for the Beaver. And it only gets crazy. All the local hotels were sold out in preparation for the launch. That means people traveled, took flights, did a road trip just to visit a gas station on opening day. The Disney comparison is actually starting to feel pretty apt. And this is what should get McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's quaking in their boots. These premium scale gas stations are only going to start cropping up more and more often from here. Last year, Wawa announced that it was going to undergo its most aggressive expansion yet, adding 700 new locations in 5 years. Buc-ee's announced that over the next 2 years, they're going to be expanding into 7 new states. Sheetz is spending nearly $1 billion to open 100 new Indiana locations over the next decade. Quick Trip with the Q, 80 new stores this year. Love's is investing $700 million in expansion and remodels. You get the idea. Gas stations aren't just leveling up, they are branching out. Compare that to McDonald's, who's seen a slow decline in US stores over the past decade or so. Meanwhile, visits to Wawa, Sheetz, and Buc-ee's are climbing year over year by 3.2%, 7.6%, even as high as 11.7% respectively, which is funny because, 11.7, 7-Eleven flipped over, gas station. Anyway, Ronald and the King better watch their back because gas stations are about to eat their lunch. And I know what you're thinking. Aren't there only like 1,200 Wawas, 800 Sheetz, and like 55 Buc-ee's? How could I possibly suggest that any of those places could be a threat to friggin' McDonald's, which has 14,000 stores? But no. McDonald's is the one that's outnumbered here. Keep in mind, there are roughly 160,000 gas stations across the US. If even a fraction of those become high-quality gas stations that people love, McDonald's is toast. Throughout this episode, we've seen that these fast food restaurants used to have it all. Affordable food, a comfortable ambiance, and even a bit of culture. But slowly, they've transitioned away from all of that and focused on the fast and not so much the food. Meanwhile, gas stations are providing people with what they want. No, what they need. Whether it's a place to rest on a long road trip or just a place to sit down and grab a bite after work. And if McDonald's keeps trying to streamline into an assembly line of burgers and fries and customers while losing the charm that made them what they were, well, they're gonna soon be without any gas in the tank and no station to fill up at. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Buen provecho. And hey, if you want to see me eat at some of these gas stations, make sure to click the link on screen now. And as always, I'll see you.
Alright, so honestly, I can see his point about the thing involving gas stations may potentially overthrow fast food places. I mean, results like that, scores like that, and so on and so forth. It is showing that fast food places like Wendy's, McDonald's, and Burger King should be worried, actually, because the fact that people are going out of this way to go to one of these 3 gas stations honestly says something. Though from the sounds of it, it seems like this is more of the middle of America, not West Coast, not East Coast, like the whole middle area of the United States. So, yeah, something to really think there, in all honesty. It's an interesting thing, and to be honest with you, about. It makes me curious about how that goes and all that. And makes me really want to see what these places are like, because again, I've never been to any of those three places. And if they are good as what I'm being told, then I wouldn't mind seeing some in the West Coast, in all honesty. But I'm just gonna have to wait and see. And if they are in the West Coast, they were not in anywhere near where I live, that's for sure. So, yeah. Anyway, I hope you all enjoy this video. Like, comment, subscribe. And if you do know and have been to these places, can you tell me if what's being said is true? I'm actually really curious now. So I would really appreciate it to get an answer on that. So yeah. Anyway, again, hope you all enjoy. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.